Well, hello and welcome to this week's Material Musings. We've kind of had a little bit of a break, and I've been doing a lot of other activities and working on other projects. But I wanted to come in and just share, just maybe something slightly different. It's not really something that I've shared before, but it's looking at some of the ways in which I use fabric in my work. So I've not only been doing the slow stitch, I've also incorporated quite a bit of fabric in some of my artwork, and I've got a few bits around me, some of which I'm altering or changing, adapting, moving to the place where they actually really wanted to be. So some of that is like work in which I think is finished, but then a while later it whispers, actually I need something else. So I've been doing that with a few bits of work, and yeah, I just want to show you how I incorporate fabric in different ways. So I use it in sculptures, and I will, most of my sculptures have fabric included in them, and I'll just bring up a few here. We've got the Stilt Walker's Treasure, and that's mainly fabric and paper clay, and then it's got embellishments, beads and things like that. I've got this one here. It's like when I was weary you carried me, and the figures are both made from paper clay. You've got the armature underneath, you've got the paper clay, you've got the fabric as well. Walking with Angels again. So I do like to incorporate the fabric. It's just that part of the mixed media with the fabric and the paper clay, that they're two kind of materials that you'll always find around. So anywhere you go, there's going to be an abundance of paper, and you can even go to sort of like your printers and get paper. I'm just going to be sharing some more of the pieces there. You can get an abundance of paper, and so therefore you can make your own paper clay, and then fabric. So the fabric that I mostly use is the natural fibers, so the cottons, and there are some, it's a particular, I brought 3 dresses and I've had them over the years, but the material, when I use the solution that I soak the fabric in to then use on the pieces, it's just got a really nice effect. And I think that's just like a cotton, it's like a thinner cotton that I use, and I've just really enjoyed that aspect, because as I say, anywhere that you go you'll be able to resource those materials. You don't have to import them, you don't have to, if you're a minimalist then maybe not, but if you've been storing financial papers for the 7 years that they say, you keep it for 7 years, after that then you shred it or whatever, your statements, prior to getting statements online, you would be saving them, like, so 12 a year, and then all the other bills. And then you find that the paper that a lot of the kind of suppliers, like say your light, your electricity, the water, the phone bills, they're all, the paper that they use, I've always found it to be that much thicker it's thicker than printer paper, and it's probably about 120 to 140 GSM, and so it's really nice actually to work on. And we're now in a time where we use so much more, and we need to conserve and focus on the resources that we're using. So so it's just kind of ideal for me, because then I'm able to, as I say, access these things without having to order anything online or whatever. They're readily around me, and then you can go to your thrift stores or your charity stores, whatever you call them in your area, and then source those materials there as well. And they make also for nicely for dyeing, wax resist. And it's about us looking at the resources we have and trying to make the most of them, and not allowing them to join the fast fashion, the mountains of clothes each year that is shipped off. You think that these so-called developed countries are actually recycling them, reusing them, but they're shipping them off to places like Ghana, and then you've got mountains and mountains of waste, and the plastic waste that washes up on the shore, or the fabric waste, or some that's just like, it's not even fit for human wearing, but they just ship the whole lot over there. And so then these countries are left to deal with the so-called developed countries' waste problem, and that's irresponsible. It's irresponsible to then not deal with it, and look at ways for yourself. Like, you think to yourself, well, what can I do? So for yourself, what you can potentially do is look at the items that you might say throw away. Now, not everybody's going to be a mixed media artist, but look at whether there are local art banks or supplies where these things can be donated, rather than the pretend charities that say, well, leave your stuff, we're going to drop a bag, leave your stuff in there. Because nothing, I'm generalizing, more often than not, what are they sending to these charities? What's the proof that we have that all of the items that they collect are then, anything goes to charity? I think what you find is that they'll sell it on to these big companies, and these big companies will sell it on, and it then gets shipped to countries like Ghana and, the more developing countries, and the countries that don't have the infrastructure to get rid of this waste, to get rid of, why, all the amount of, this is not what it's about. I was going to say the amount of clothes that are produced each year and it's just thrown away. It's just like, it doesn't sell. What happens to it? People buy it once, it doesn't last. They don't make clothes like they used to last. It's just synthetic materials and shoddy workmanship in a lot of cases. It's just not, if you think about what it's doing for your health. There you go. Anyway, so that's my little 2 pence. But what you can do is start looking at the things that you have, and how can you alter it? How can you reuse it in, say, a creative project? Fabric can become fabric journals, fabric earrings, floor mats, fabric. And should we have another look over? I don't even think I've got it here. But the things I shared last time, oh yes, I do have it. Fabric vases. I really like this one. I'm going to be adding some beading and stuff to it. Anyway, so let's get on. I'm going to show you just a few more bits that I've been working on, and in terms of art, and how I'm moving it forward, and another kind of fabric I've developed. I've been experimenting with different textures and the use of the fabric, and I found another use that I really like. So let us have a look at those. And as I say, this is just slightly different from, you know, like the stitching and that, and I think you have to remain flexible and be able to adapt to how you may be feeling in terms of your output. So as I say, I was, you know, have been working on some of these things I'm going to show you, and so I've still got my hand in with the fabric, but I haven't been doing as much slow stitching as I would have done. But let's have a look, as I say, and we'll see how it can inspire and encourage, and I'd love again to see what you get up to. So let's go to the table. So okay, let me show you these to begin with. So this is one I've just got to finish it off. Let me come in. Okay, so we've got the paper clay, and for the face, the body here, this is fabric, and we've got the fabric here. Now I have a piece of the fabric here I can show you. So this is what I was saying. So this is from an old dress. It wasn't an old dress, it was just like, yeah, it was an old dress. But when you working with this and this, what I mix to then, it's like a fabric hardener basically. But it gives you a really nice, it's got a really nice finish. And then when you paint it, it's like really smooth and you can get some really nice detail. And then the folds, I just loved the way that it folded. So this is how I've incorporated recycled fabric, and then we've got the jewellery bits there, embellishments, into my work. And we've got a similar one here. It's the same fabric that I've used. So we've got the fabric on the figure. I just made some additions here, so I've got to redo this. But I love the I just love combining them, and then the texture. I think the texture for me is the best thing of all, because that's, for me, that's what it's all about. Achieving this texture with my figures, if they're on canvas, having that kind of 3D effect, and then also the texture that you get and how you can highlight it and manipulate it and make it other than what you think it is. And let me show you a bit further along in terms of other materials that I've used. So I'll show you this one that I'd recently done. It is a portrait, a commissioned portrait, and I used fabric, to create all of the raised areas that you can see in there. And it is about experimenting and again, getting to know the supplies that you're using to see how you can manipulate it. So I've been manipulating fabric for quite a while and creating a fabric kind of pulp, fibre, this is a fibrous pulp, and then mixing it. And initially when you mix it with the it's like, again, it's a hardener. When you mix it, you can let me show you what I'm doing now. So this is some of the fibres, and I'll show you. So the fibres of these, this is just a little bit that I've got left, and it's cotton, and it's finely shredded with the scissors. I don't yet have one of those materials that can cut up, so I'm only making small batches at the moment. And so once mixed, when it's first mixed, it looks like that. It absorbs a lot of the solution, and it's almost like it's almost like paper clay, but paper clay is smoother. But if you add more of the solution to this, you then get a finer, it's just a more malleable solution. That, I'm just looking for a bit of paper, just use this. I wouldn't normally use paper, but I just want to show you can get a really nice smooth finish, or you can get like you can get a very bumpy finish, which this is what in this particular figure, just move those out of the way. So that's what you can achieve, because there are larger bits in there, but if you don't want the larger bits, you can just remove them and you can get a really nice smoother finish. So yeah, so these are with the bits. And on here as well, this particular piece, I've recycled material. This is like African material, and used that for her headdress. And this one's called And Still I Rise, and it's almost like she's breaking out of the center of the earth, where all the rocks around her, and you've got this is goldy, let's come in. It's got that kind of goldy finish on, yeah? So it's almost like she's breaking out, and they're all it's like the imagined, like all the minerals, the gold, that you could find in the earth, the diamonds, all of the semi-precious or the precious materials. So that's this one. So it looks quite effective when you I've still got just final bits to do to this one, so you're getting a sneak peek of this one. But the previous one, that one, I really enjoyed creating that one. And yeah, so I've been doing a few more of these ones, especially with the fibers. But the whole process of getting it to this stage, that's why there's only a little bit in there, it's a long process for the kind of paste-like material. So if you imagine that now, that was this, yeah, so you can still see the fibers. It's still kind of there's still fibers that you can see, and you can highlight them if you want as well. Okay, so let's look at some others. Right, so this is the one that I shared last time, and the only slow stitching I've done was to this. I did a little bit of this, and just added some around, and I then put these together and thought I do want to maybe have them together. I'm not sure, but I wanted to do some smaller stitches to this, but at the time when I thought about it, I just wasn't feeling it. And I thought the best thing to do is to reintroduce yourself to some of your supplies that that you haven't been looking at for a while. Now, when I look at this one, I am filled with joy because I really like it. I really like the way it turned out, and I'd love to do a few more of them, but I'm not ready yet to do that. And again, I looked through the bits. I'm not going to go through all of them, but just the ones I'd showed you that I thought, yeah, you know, I'm going to do something with, and I had done my little Kawandi there. Haven't done anything with those. But I needed to find another project and move it along. So I thought to myself, well, maybe you have to sidestep from this. You can always come back. It's like, it's not like you can't come back and do it. And what we're going to do is look at some more unfinished projects, but I'm hoping to get even more inspiration. And the more inspiration you receive from looking at these projects means that something's going to be finished. You're going to take something to the finish line. And I thought to myself, at the end of the day, I've been doing the other things and working on the kind of fibrous kind of paste, and so you can't be too hard on yourself and say, oh my gosh, you haven't done anything. So I thought I would share that one with you, just to show you that I have done a bit of work on it, but it's okay not to feel like continuing, and it's not a permanent thing. It's just, it's not what I'm feeling right now. Maybe it is that I need to work with some beading. Maybe I need to, like, I'm thinking about going in small, but it needs to be, say, the beading. And maybe this one is saying to me, yeah, you know, I'm ideal for some beading. You could look through some of your beading stash and think about doing something. Or what, as I say, I think I'd like to do is just look through some projects that are waiting in themselves. And these ones have been moved along, so it's not like, as I say, I've not done anything on them. They've been moved along, ready for their next stage, and we'll get to them. So let's have a look at just a few others. This bin of stuff, and I'm just going to take them all out and we'll just quickly go through them, and then I will speak to them if I need to, but just share some of the inspiration, or just be inspired. I just need that little kind of nudge, and it's as I say, I wasn't feeling it in that sense, and I think it's important to work on stuff that you really enjoy. And maybe it is that, you know, you just take time out and look through some stuff. So there's nothing wrong with that. And even this is a nice way to, again, reintroduce yourself. So this was a mini book that I made when I first came across making Zen. And I think the journal itself was, so this was a lesson in terms of, I think it was blind stitching. I think that's what it's called. But I chose to not use, I didn't have a colour that went, these are all hand-dyed, stenciled material, wax resist. Oh, the other thing that I did do, it's drying at the moment, but I've got a henna plant. So I had taken some of the leaves and I'd crushed them and I've mixed it with water. So I've got like some dye in here. I've also mixed it with, I've got this really strong tea, black tea. And so I want to see how it looks on fabric. I'm going to try and do some wax resist. And then, so that's what I felt like doing. One of the things I felt like doing. Okay, so yeah, I just then, all of the lessons, this, the pages are fairly thin, so they can be stitched together, and it's just another way of holding, you know, some of your supplies and some of the smaller bits that you just think, oh, I'm not sure what to do with. Now I'm looking at that and thinking, I'd like to finish that, you know, again. So that's what it's about, looking at things and seeing how you can be inspired, stitching round the letters. This is upholstery fabric, and these are some small ones that I made with words on, and I haven't yet done anything with. There was one that I had taken further and added it. It's got quite big actually, so maybe these ones will follow that same route. Let me just put them back in here as I look at them. Ooh, yes, I liked this one. This one was waiting for its back in. Okay, but I'm not feeling like doing that right now. Okay, so I love looking at the stitches, the beading, and I think I also just need, like with the beading, I've been saying to myself, I need one of those lights that you can put over the work, because visually it's not, I've not got enough light coming in to be able to look at the work clearly. So here are a few more of those little panels, and these are nice to make because then, you know, it's got a word on it. It might be the exact word that you're looking for, and you can either, you know, stitch it into a fabric book or stitch it onto a larger piece. So there's nothing is gonna go to waste. Ooh, yes, I am being inspired now. So this, oh yes, yes, I am feeling it now. I love this. So another teacher, I can't remember her name, unfortunately, but she made a moth, but I made a dragonfly. I think she made a moth and a butterfly. And scraps that make up the wings. So maybe it's that you need to make some smaller elements that then could go onto a larger piece. Like, it doesn't have to be, okay, I'm making this big massive thing. So I really like that. I need to frame it. Yeah, I like that. And I taught on I think it was 2024 making Zen, and we did this initial piece and taking a word, stitching round it and embellishing it. So again, maybe that then gets taken somewhere. And then I showed, you know, different fonts that you can use. You can mark them out, do them in, you know, blocks. And then this is using the words with fabric scraps and cutting out the letters, yeah. And then this was the bonus VIP version, and just showing you how you can then embellish these letters and take it further. And I really enjoyed doing this. I did, the main part of the lesson was doing this and the swirls and the leaves, and then I went in further over time and did the stitching, and it's just straight stitch, but you know, in a pattern. Okay, I'm seeing some more Making Zen projects. This one was taught by Kate Ward. I can't remember the name of this stitch, but these are little pin cushions. Can't remember what I filled mine with now. Anyway, but they're in this project bin. Okay, some more words again. This is always a nice thing to do, writing out the words and stitching round them. And these can actually go in this book at some place maybe. It could be stitched on, and that then adds weight to it. So there's those. This is another potential journal cover. I was playing with scraps. These have been stitched by machine, and then I wanted to create one of those removable journals, so you'd always have this that you could, you know, use from year to year. And then thought they were cute, but I did not much more with that. Playing with glitter. I've still got a whole load of glitter. I thought I used a lot of it, but there's still so much more. These are actually glitter. They come in these paints, these colours, and so I was using a stencil, and then I doodled on top of it, and this can be added to a stitch project. Okay, some little badges that I made at one point using a recycled curtain. Yeah, isn't that pretty? And then another kind of fabric cluster with this encouraging word. What else is there? Oh, here's another one, relationships. And I think this is a piece that I had dyed with avocado seed. Ooh. And I was trying to decide whether to, I was trying to decide whether to use it for a kawandi or cut it up, but I think the kawandi, and now I'm thinking that's what I feel like working on. Like, I just want a small project, like, okay, it's a bit bigger than a small project. I've got some smaller handkerchiefs that I could use, but I don't feel daunted by this bigger one. So there's some smaller ones that, let's come out a bit. So I'm not necessarily feeling that one, which is fine. I think I'm feeling this one. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I think it's decided. I've got some fabrics that I can make a start with, and I could even incorporate some of these, like, you know, it doesn't have to be I can incorporate them at the end, maybe. So we will be working on this side and going round. Yeah, the deal. The other thing, you know, it's like something like this. You could, I'm going to put even more stitches in, but I could use potentially, and because I'm going to be stitching around with, say, smaller stitches, but maybe just, you know, carry on using what you've got. And then I had collected, so I must have been planning on doing a kawandi. I've got some fabrics here. In the past I've used fabrics that I have dyed myself, like this. That shouldn't be in there. This is, I was creating a scene with a tree and the greenery, so we'll just leave that there. But I've got some upholstery fabric, just some bits and pieces, some dyed pieces. I wouldn't use that. That's the A and the R are missing from that. So just gathering some fabrics. We know what this is for. This is my little house book. So that's gonna go in here somewhere. I feel like doing some of that. I really like working on this fabric, so I'm gonna keep that in my closer to do box. Yeah, so I've got some fabrics here. So I might incorporate these on here. So I'm just going to start working my way round and incorporating some of these and then adding some more. And again, it's trying to use up what you have, and you know, I can still, like, that can go in the middle actually. I think it's from a top. Yeah, anyway. So that's that. So we're going to get on with that. I hope that has inspired you. The only other things that I didn't show you from the box were these cards. So let's just put these to one side. We're going to do a kawandi. Now, the kawandi isn't something that I can commit to doing on a daily basis, so I'm not going to promise you that by next week it will be done, but I'll be working on it during the week. So here are some cards. I did show previously how you can take just small pieces and then add them to a gift card, write a message in, and it makes like a really nice addition, or just a really nice gift to receive. Or you can frame it and give it as a present like that. But I think they're pretty, and you know, you can do as much or as minimalist as you want. And as I say, here are some of the other smaller ones that I can potentially use. So I hope that that has inspired you, as it's inspired me to get on and start a kawandi. And let me know what you're working on, and let me know how you kind of motivate yourself to kind of, you know, do something creative. As I say, I do find, you know, I don't feel, oh no, it's not finished. I just feel, okay, it's where it needed to get to, and I can do something else with it. So that's the way I look at these pieces. And then now, when I need that encouragement, I can look at them and think, okay, what is it I really feel like doing? You know, or what is it that I want to experiment with? And so that's why I was saying I did the henna, and I'm hoping to dye some fabric and even use some stenciling to it. And I'm hoping, I just need to see how well it lasts, whether it washes it out, how well it stains the fabric. And then that will be something that I can incorporate, because I have, again, looking at how can we be more resourceful. I don't have to get, you know, any dyes. You've got the plants outside that are ready to give you a variety of colours. Look at the beetroot, look at, you know, there's so many natural ways in which we can dye fabric now, that it is about playing and experimenting and enjoying the process. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to get on, and I hope that you have found a way that you can, you know, help revive yourself in the midst and start being creative. So take care for now.